Hi guys, Chris here, back with an update with the Honor Note 10. So I've had the phone now for 10 days and I have been using it those full 10 days, and a lot of you have been asking for updates, like where's the full review? I'm going to post that maybe next week. I just wanted to use this and get really familiar with the phone first. So I did have problems that I posted on the last video with a couple of things. So what was happening is I wasn't getting a notification, so I am getting notifications on everything now, and it's just these tiny little quirks that you have with EMUI that what you had to do actually to get those notifications was actually just go through the settings under the battery saver. So what the phone was doing was killing off my WhatsApp in the background, and I noticed that, and I'm not getting these messages. People were asking me, say, your WhatsApp messages, you're not even receiving them, not seeing the double tick that you get, the confirmation. And what it turns out, it was that problem. So once I fixed that, the phone has been just a lot better, because now I'm getting all my emails are coming through, I'm getting my WhatsApp messages, Twitter as well is also coming through, so that is all good. Now, one area where I did mess up was with the front-facing camera. I didn't realize that when I had, if you go into video mode, the beautifying, there's actually like this little icon here that you have to tap that to disable it. Now, I do actually remember trying this, or I did it, but what happens is when you reboot the phone, it seems to at one point seem to reset itself and re-enable itself. With that enabled, beauty enabled, even though you have this set to 0, which I did, I set that right down to 0, and normally 0 is off or disabled for everyone else, but it seems for the Chinese that's not the case here, or the way that Huawei have this set up, and that was a bit of a trap for me. So once you have it truly disabled, I can now show you that with a front-facing camera, that you get video all the way up to 4K that you can see here, which is really great, but it doesn't have, of course, any image stabilization because the chipset just cannot handle 4K stabilization, which is a little bit of a shame there. But you do get full HD, which you can turn on the electronic image stabilization, and I will show a sample of that later on, probably in my final review when I post that. So great to see we can do this, and up to 4K. You don't see this on a lot of phones, and normally flagships, and Vivo, one of the Vivos was the first actually to do that. So over these 10 days, I have been really enjoying this phone. It is just super quick compared to the Snapdragon 636, my Mi Max, which I have in the background. Now that one gets better battery life. A lot of people have been asking me, like, what are you going to end up keeping? And really, I want to keep the Note 10, but because I mostly buy all of the stuff you see on my channel to review, if it's over 200 US, then more than likely, I have actually bought that. So just for the financials, the economics of my channel, I really probably do have to actually sell this model after I've finished reviewing it. Now, please do not contact me asking to buy it off me, okay? I don't want to really sell to anyone. Anyway, apart from that, yeah, I probably will end up going to this for the battery life, because I do like the microphones much better, actually, on the Mi Max 3. I do shoot a lot of video, so I prefer the phase detection autofocus that's on the Mi Max 3. And that for me is quite important, just the dual pixel phase detection autofocus. You've only got phase detection autofocus on, of course, the Honor Note 10 here. Now, one tip that someone pointed out in the comments, sorry, I just got lost in all the comments from my videos to find your name there to mention you, that you mentioned to me that if you lower on the settings, so you don't actually use, I always just go for standard video resolution, so I don't normally go for these non-standard ones, you could say, but if you do lower it down from the 4K, then you do actually get some electronic image stabilization coming through on the video. It's just for me, the video, if you check out my first video I posted, the unboxing, I don't find the audio quality on the mics that good. It really does remind me of Xiaomi's Mi 8 or the Mi Mix 2S. So that to me is the real true con of this mobile phone, that and the lack of the 3.5mm headphone jack. Now, I don't use Android Pay here in Spain, so it does have NFC. You can take advantage of that, something of course that the Mi Max 3 does not have. So it does not have NFC. The Chinese aren't really big on that, but great to see it on this mobile. So when you're multitasking and everything, the performance in general is really smooth and really good. I've shown this before. Twitter performance really is fast. And I haven't really noticed any problems. Now, what I'm getting with the Mi Max 3 that is still bugging me, and I don't understand why the hell Xiaomi have not fixed it yet, I'm still seeing full screen gestures, and I believe it's not down to the chipset on that one. I think it's just the ROM that they still need to optimize the full screen gestures. And I do miss that, however, with the Honor Note 10 here. And I find what happens with me, probably because I'm so used to having gestures enabled, that when I am using the on-screen keyboard, that a lot of the times I accidentally tap one of the buttons down here when I go for space, and that's just me, because I got so used now to having the full screen gestures, or my Mi Max 2 that I have here, of course, that has the hardware keys down the bottom, and that's very handy. I don't find I have that problem with the typos and things. So that's the only tiny things that are really bugging me with the Honor. Other than that, is a fantastic mobile. I really do like gaming on this. Is great because of the speakers. They do sound really good. A step up over the large Mi Max 3 and Mi Max 2, of course. And for those that were asking about gaming performance, in particular Shadow Fight 3, they said it was really stuttery and had problems with lag and things. I think that's just the other Kirin chipset. I think it's just the 960 that had some problems. But here it's perfectly fine. All the games that I have tested and been playing, I haven't seen any lags. You do get the occasional little stutter and things, but for the most part, it's been perfectly fine. Really good frame rates, as you can see. It's smooth. One of the other comments actually been mentioned quite a few times, with people asking, can you just run Apex Launcher or Nova Launcher, third-party launcher? Do you have to use Huawei's? Well, you don't. You can see here I have Nova Launcher running. So if you're not very fond of their launcher, then you're able to, of course, just run this. And this gives you a much more, you could say, stock Android feel to it. And the performance of this is really quite fast. But now and then, I do see occasional tiny little micro stutter when launching an app or things like that. But it really isn't much of a problem. The only thing you have to do is just go into the settings where it's the default apps. So I'm currently just in where you set it, and change that launcher from Huawei Home to Nova Launcher. And that's all you need to do. That's the only thing. And the good thing is they let us override the launcher application with default apps. Some phones, I think it was Vivo that really annoyed me, or it could even be Mizu, they do not let you do this. It's one of those brands, and that really frustrated me. So you can't get rid of their custom launcher. At least, of course, you can here. And now, because I don't have it set as default, it's gone back to Huawei's. The battery life as well has been fantastic. I'm getting with my medium use now, my typical normal use. In my heavy battery test that I did, I got 9 hours out of this, just over 9, so about 9.5. And I got, with the same kind of test, 13 out of my Xiaomi Mi Max 3. Now I calibrate the displays always to 200 lux, so they're equal there, but it's still phenomenal. I'm still getting, about 3, I could probably even make 3.5 days of battery life on this with my own use, so really good battery life. The face unlocking is working really well. Just demonstrate that. So tap to unlock, and then look at it. I did have the camera in the way, so I just had to turn the phone a little bit, but it's very quick. Once you get that setting, of course, to go straight into the UI, it's perfectly fine. Now, one thing to point out, that the charging standard with this that it uses isn't really a standard that any other manufacturers are using. So it's like OnePlus with their phones. That what we have here is Huawei's Supercharge. So this kind of caught me out, because I went for a trip with GPS and I had my phone plugged in, and what I was using, of course, was just Quick Charge 3. So it wasn't using the Quick Charge 3 rates. It was only at 5 volts, charging at 2 amps. And it just wasn't enough to actually keep ahead with the screen on, very bright with GPS running at the same time. I ended up losing battery percent. So that's something you need to bear in mind, that if you're going to use it in your car and things like that, you will have to buy the Huawei car charger equivalent. The call quality is really good. I do like the cameras here. In low light, they are a definite step up over the Xiaomi Mi Max, but of course this is double the price of that one there. So it does come recommended from me. The only cons really that I have found now in 10 days are simply what I mentioned there. The fact that it does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack. I just leave the adapter on my headset, so it's not really too much of a problem for me, because the battery life is great anyway, so it's not like I need to charge and listen to music at the same time. I could resort to my Bluetooth headset, but I don't really use that. And the main thing is just that the UI, you will see a little bit of Chinese in there, so wait for an international version of the ROM, one that hopefully does not have that Chinese in there, if they're going to be releasing that